Is it frustrating to me that people don't understand our business? At times it can be frustrating, but I look at it this way. I think that there is an energy transition that's happening. Okay, so put my engineer hat on. It's an engineer problem. And what engineers are good at is going and saying, okay, what do we need to get to? And where are we at today? And then how can we do that in the most economic way, in the way that has the least amount of impact to individuals and society as a whole?
I wanted to be a chemical engineer because the energy industry has always interested me, because I think it's something that's going to be here at least in some way, shape, or form, probably until forever.
Oil and gas is where I started my career, and ultimately that supported my learning, my understanding to really get into renewable diesel. We do not have one direct drop-in replacement for fossil fuel. I am confident that we are on the path to support that, though, with renewables.
Well, there's a whole lot of innovations that happen with the process and the equipment that we use out in a refinery. So my name is Matthew Smorch. I am the president and CEO of CountryMark. I'm originally from Michigan. I grew up around Flint. I actually went to college to play football, and I became a chemical engineer. A lot of people don't think about diesel at all. Really, diesel fuel is the backbone of our country. It's what moves everything. Diesel fuel used to be like a byproduct of gasoline production. And over the years, we've reduced the sulfur in diesel fuel. We have done other things with diesel fuel from a lubrication standpoint, from an additive standpoint. As they've changed their engines, we have had to build a fuel that's better for the diesel engine. And so over the years, we've had to adjust depending on what they need from a requirement. There are things today that we could do as an industry that could help with emissions, greenhouse gases, climate along the way until we get to whatever that transition ends up being.
Normal petroleum refining, the goal, at least in the diesel production side, is to take those molecules, distill them, so separate them out in different categories, different carbon chains of hydrocarbons. I am Taylor. I'm a chemical engineer here at the Dickinson facility. In the renewable world, you are breaking the propane backbone and you're removing the oxygens that are saturated in the triglycerides.
My name is Steve Schramm. I am the facility manager at the Dickinson Renewable Diesel Plant. To go from a petroleum refinery to a renewable diesel plant really took a massive effort to relook at how we need to operate in the future. Those renewables come in corn, soy, tallow, used cooking oil. All of those are new feedstocks. Carbon intensity looks at the amount of greenhouse gases per unit of energy that is getting put out there. That is extremely important for us here at our Dickinson plant. That carbon intensity really looks at the entire life cycle of that feedstock. So rather than just looking at a single piece of it, what I think is really fascinating is that there's the research that looks at how the soy gets here. What is the transportation costs? How has it come from the field? For me, that's why renewables is exciting.
It took quite a few years to get to this point, turning our cow manure into renewable energy and turning that energy into power, turning that energy into compressed natural gas for trucking, for vehicles, power that we could operate our farm, our vehicles, and also having a byproduct of the fertilizer that we could put back into on our farm. It was just a wonderful thought that we decided to join the team and join Brightmark and venture.
So our Brightmark team is really what inspires me the most every day. We partner with farmers in ways that complement their farms. So when you come to a farmer and say, I want to take what is maybe not fully utilized, for example, dairy manure, and I'm going to create a useful product out of it which is renewable natural gas. Oh, and by the way, I can take the solids that come out of that process as well, that are much more stable, and you can use it as bedding or as more stable fertilizer on the fields. It turns out to be a really good symbiotic relationship with the farmer partners. So Chevron is one of our great partners. They buy our natural gas from us, in addition to supporting us being able to maintain and build the projects as well.
We're focused on two kind of pathways, if you will. One is to lower the carbon intensity from our existing operations. We continue to invest in that, what I'll call base business, because that energy is needed. The world needs that energy. The second pathway is to develop lower carbon businesses that our customers are asking for. And so we're focused on that. And we're in this because we know that lower carbon energy is going to be needed by society.
So the fuel that Chevron helps to capture is actually coming off of dairy manure. The biomethane that's naturally emitted from dairy manure would normally be emitted into the atmosphere, and that's what we don't want. By capturing it, cleaning it, and then re-injecting it back into the pipeline, that allows us to repurpose what would have been an emitted gas into the atmosphere and actually use it as a transportation fuel. Compared to your diesel alternative, it actually has a net reduction on the carbon intensity when used as a transportation fuel in California. One of the big successes about renewable natural gas is that in California, last year, almost all of the natural gas used for transportation space was actually renewably sourced, and it had a negative carbon intensity. So that's to say that all the miles driven by a California CNG fleet actually ended up having a net reduction of carbon intensity on a life cycle basis as opposed to diesel.
So what's exciting is that we're taking that waste gas or that biogas, we're cleaning it up, and now we're using it for a beneficial purpose like transportation. You can also use it to make electricity. You can use it to make hydrogen.
I think in order for renewable fuels to really reach the commercial scale that we want them to, it's going to be a balance of both supply and demand. And I think at Chevron, with renewable compressed natural gas, we're in a very unique position to both build both the demand and the infrastructure side of it, such that there's an opportunity to have the fuel, to have the infrastructure, and that both can build up together to create the commercial scale that we're looking for to make change.
We went and met with customers. We went to sites, fueled up, got to kind of experience what a customer would experience, and saw different trucks pulling up, Class 8 heavy-duty trucks, talked to the drivers, asked them, how long does it take you to fuel? What do you think about this CNG truck, right? And ended up at our station in Napa that we had just branded.
So our first Chevron branded CNG site's here in Napa, California, and I think the two things really stand out to me as to how we were able to make that first site happen. First is partnerships, right? We've leveraged our existing really strong partnerships with our retailers, our partners, in order to have a first CNG site offering. And I think the second part of that is focusing on a new customer base. Working in that new heavy-duty commercial space requires us to really think about how we're going to cater to the needs of a heavy-duty transportation fleet, how we're going to be able to make a CNG offering for them as easy to adopt as possible. So I think between the partnerships that we have for existing relationships and the developing new relationships and new engagements with the heavy-duty commercial sector, I think that's an important part of how we're going to continue to roll out and build our strategic network of sites in California. We do have a target in California to build 30 sites by 2025, so that'll help both build the infrastructure available for CNG fueling as well as building up the demand at the same time.
It's been very transparent, and that's been a huge plus.
I could tell that we were with a good organization. With Brightmark and from Chevron, to know that we were able to put one together here was a no-brainer. That was an easy decision for us to make.
As we all are looking at greenhouse gases and environmental, we want to make this sustainable.
Devote my time and resources and my background into a solution that I think will have dividends not just for our generation, but for future generations. I think for me, that's what motivates me every day.
We are doing stuff we've never done before. Change is happening at a very fast rate, and the solutions that we come up with are going to be the solutions that really drive the change that we need.
And that is what the future is.